Our second inductee is Dr. Robert Loren Cook. Dr. Cook is our 2015 faculty inductee. We all still feel the void created by Bob's passing. He was an influential and dedicated faculty member in the College of Business Administration for more than 35 years. During his time, Bob influenced thousands of Chippewas and worked tirelessly to connect them with recruiters and employers. Bob earned his undergraduate, graduate, and PhD degrees from Michigan State University, all in the field of logistics. While there, he met his wife and life partner, Karen. With her help, Bob spearheaded CMU's logistics program, making it one of the very best in the nation. Please direct your attention to the video screen as we share more about Dr. Cook and the impact he has had on generations of Chippewas.
So I came to Central after 4 years in the Air Force and started taking courses here. One of the courses I took was the marketing introductory course. Walked in, just saw this 5'0", cheesy mustache looking guy, squeaky voice, starts talking, and it's like, oh, this is gonna be a horrible course. Next thing I know, he hands out the syllabus, and the syllabus is read chapter 12, pages 220 through 222, then read chapter 6, and then he defines those chapters. So first day, you're like, oh my gosh, if this guy put in so much time to have us read the textbook in a prescribed fashion, this class is gonna be no fun. So then we kept coming to class, and then the passion, the excitement, all of a sudden the voice wasn't an issue, the size wasn't an issue, the passion kept growing in myself and what he was teaching. It was exciting.
He came in and he was just so full of life and so energetic, and he went off on this tangent about Toro Tequila because it was poorly designed for packaging and for shipping, basically. And he went on about how they had sombrero tops on the bottles and how that was a logistical nightmare. And he was just very fired up over it.
I've been a recruiter for Ford for almost 25 years. And then I've traveled to many different universities. I've dealt with many different faculty and administrators over that time period. And in Dr. Cook's case, his genuine interest in his students is something that was totally amazing to watch.
I wandered into his office one day because I just really liked the guy, and I said, hey Bob, or Dr. Cook, you know, what's the future? Tell me a little bit about this program. And he started telling me about logistics and that emphasis on that. And I said, well, if you don't mind, while I'm making up my mind, if I have any questions, can I come talk to you? And he said, well, of course. That's what he was. And the guy right behind me was probably asking the same exact thing as me. But while you had him in a room or in a conversation, you were all that mattered. And it's not always that way and with people in general.
He was always that cheerleader. He didn't always tell you what you wanted to hear, but he always was very positive in how he told you what you needed to hear. And he was your biggest cheerleader. If you were trying to understand what you were going to do next, if you were thinking of changing jobs, it was always, heck yeah, you're awesome, you're gonna do great at that, absolutely, go for it, you're incredible. They don't understand what they have yet, they'll see how great you are. That cheerleader.
I was told a story about some advice he gave to one of his students who was really having a hard time to decide between two competing offers that she had in hand. So the story I heard was he told her to do a coin flip and say company A was heads, company B was tails. And then depending on how the coin flip went, gauge the emotional response to whether it comes up heads or tails, and that should help you decide, or help her decide, he thought, on which company to go to.
He always had this funny saying, especially to all the girls, if there's not a ring on your hand, don't let anything stop you.
When I had some interviews on campus, one of my first interviews was with Ford, and I remember walking out feeling great, and Dr. Cook saying, you nailed it, they loved you, you should be getting an offer. A few days later, I got an email from Amway, and I asked Dr. Cook, I said, well, I'll probably decline because I'm getting this Ford offer for the internship. And he said, no, never let an opportunity pass you by. So I interviewed with the Amway, and actually they provided a great offer, and I decided to do the internship with them and then got hired on full time. And you know, if it wasn't for taking that second step and really listening to Dr. Cook to take the opportunity to interview with them, you know, I'm not really quite sure where I would be right now.
When he talked about his students, who he treated like family, he was so caring. He was like my CMU family. Oh, Jesus. Later, when I was looking for an internship, I was doing an internship in Kentucky during the spring semester, and he called me. He asked me what I wanted to do next, and I said anything. Less than a week later, he called me and said he was sending my resume to Boeing and that I needed to apply online and interview. Boeing was bigger than anything I'd ever even thought of. Dr. Cook believed in me much more than I believed in myself. I got the internship, and that turned into a full-time job. Now I live in Seattle. I've been at Boeing for 4 years, and it's all because of Dr. Cook.
I can't imagine making any major decision in my life, personal or professional, in which I didn't engage Bob for his guidance and his direction.
I can think back and hear Bob say more than once, Gibby, it's about the students. That was his number one priority. And whatever he did, it came full circle back to the students. Whether it was talking to employers, teaching in the classroom, giving students individual guidance, it was all about coming full circle to help them grow professionally and really gain an edge out in the workplace.
I think my story is maybe a little bit different because I never knew Dr. Cook at Central Michigan University. Instead, I met him at the University of Missouri. And how that worked out is his father went there as an undergraduate in the 40s. And after his father passed away in 2003, Dr. Cook was looking for a student at the University of Missouri to give a scholarship to. And I was the lucky person, very, very fortunate enough to get that call that I was the one selected for that scholarship. And our relationship really grew from there. We became very, very close friends, and he became a mentor to me.
He was proud to say he was part of Central Michigan. Like, he wasn't gonna, say, hey, I'm from some second or third tier school. No, he was gonna put his students in these case studies, and they were gonna win. They weren't gonna go play for second place. They were gonna reflect the maroon and gold of Central Michigan University with pride.
He always ended everything with fire up. You know, at the beginning it was comical and it was like, oh yeah, okay, he always says this, but I mean, he truly lived and breathed being a part of Central and building that culture, and really exuded that through the students to energize us to go out and do something.
He was just positive, upbeat, happy, always energetic and excited, and he always really cared about not only his students, but he cared about his friends like me. And I miss that. I miss just being able to pick the phone and talk to him, because you get in the middle of stuff and you want somebody to bounce something off of it. It always has good ideas, and he's not there anymore. But I like to think he's in my heart. He's with me in what I do in class and what I do with my students and my personal life, and he'll always be. So I miss my friend.
I love you guys very much. I didn't kid one time when I say your family. I have been there for you in 10 seconds if you needed it. And I meant it. So I love you guys very, very much for coming out tonight. It's a lifelong, it's just a lifelong thing. And it's incredible that you're here. I'm so thankful. And you're still my kids.
At this time, I'd like to ask Karen Cook and Dr. Brian Gibson to come forward to receive this honor on Bob's behalf.
Let's have some fun, okay? And I'll try to make it through this, but that was a great video. I have the distinct pleasure of accepting Dr. Robert Loren Cook's nomination into the CMU College Business Hall of Fame. As the dean said, during his 35-plus year career, Bob had a tremendous influence on the logistics profession, his faculty colleagues, his friends, employers, and most of all, the students in the program and the alumni. He didn't forget you after you left. In the next few minutes, I hope to provide a really good glimpse of our enduring professional respect and personal admiration for Dr. Bob Cook. Like many students, I met Dr. Cook in Marketing 330. His engaging style and enthusiasm for the topic were contagious, as you heard in the video. Marketing Channels may not sound like the most exciting course in the world, but Dr. Cook made that content tangible to students, even when they didn't know what logistics was all about. Dr. Cook hooked us on logistics with a combination of real-world focus, challenging and creative activities, some of which I still use in my classes today. And he made us a promise that we'd all have jobs after graduation. Imagine that. Right, Craig? Right. And he did it with a lot of help from this lady right here. Okay? He delivered on that promise. He helped countless logistics students pursue the best internships, like we learned at dinner tonight, and steered alumni to great professional opportunities. It was his personal mission to show employers across the Midwest and the United States and that school down the road that CMU logistics grads could thrive in key positions. Thanks to his teaching and guidance, CMU logistics alums are tremendously successful. If you go to LinkedIn and do a search for CMU logistics alums, you'll see people in key logistics leadership roles. You'll see a company president, chief operating officer, vice president, global director, senior manager, team leader, analyst, and even a professor or two. Right, Mike? So what's in our collective DNA? What is it about this guy? You'll find fond memories of the Marketing 330 course, involvement in the Logistics Management Council, as you saw at the end of that video, and a passion for the logistics profession that he instilled in each of us. Most importantly, we share an immense level of respect and appreciation for Dr. Cook's work. If you talk to any logistics alum about Dr. Cook's legacy, as you heard in the video, that word passion is sure to enter that conversation. Bob was tremendously passionate and an advocate for the logistics field, for Central Michigan University, and most of all, for his students and their success beyond the classroom. A fellow alumni recently said, Doc was the most inspirational professor that I had in college. He wasn't just inspiring. He had a passion for greatness of the program, but more importantly, a passion for his students to succeed. The word generosity is also prominent in our discussions. Dr. Cook was very generous with his time and his energy, and particularly, he was very generous with Karen's time and energy. In a CMU, and Ken Cherry told me, hey, you better say this, that Central Michigan doesn't realize what a great 2-for-1 deal that they got when they hired Bob Cook. And I read in that, a year ago, in that CM Life Tribute article, a graduate noted that Dr. Cook was always in and never gave up the vision. Another talked about how Dr. Cook was always there to give you guidance. Whether he was on the phone with employers or making company visits, Dr. Cook dedicated much of his professional life to building a pathway for our collective career success. Finally, the word family is part of our dialogue. Bob and Karen really made you feel like you were part of something special. You always knew that they cared for you like parents do. As Rob said in his video, I never made an important decision in my life without leaning on Bob for his advice. That's the sign of a trusted mentor. And I have to tell you a personal note, as we walked out of that event last year, the 30th anniversary party for the LMC group, and Bob was there and Karen was there, my wife said to me, she said, Brian, it's amazing that there's 150 people here, and every one of them had this great relationship with those two that very few people ever do. She said, I thought it was just you. And I said, yeah, Marcia, that's true, but he always liked me the best. So, sorry guys, that's the way it was. So that family is a critical issue. And just in closing, I want to say, a great professor, a great ambassador for CMU, and a great friend. That, in a few words, is how we'll always remember Dr. Robert Loren Cook. He is well deserving of induction into the CMU College of Business Hall of Fame, and we greatly thank the selection committee for honoring his legacy. Well done, Bob, and fire up, chips.